Welcome to another beautiful day on Oweleke TV. It's that day a lot of people have been longing for. Every morning people look forward to hear from us, okay, as it has to do with major headlines and activities happening in and around Nigeria. My name is Ramsey and this is Oweleke TV. We are reaching you live and direct from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Nigeria. And of course, I don't do this alone. I have, should I call them my crew, my colleagues, my intellectual, I don't want to use learned because they'll say I'm talking like a barrister. All right, I have my wonderful colleagues right here with me this morning. Antonia is looking red, and red represents love. So she's out to dish love today. Good morning, Antonia.
Spreading love with the headlines we have today. Good morning, Ramsey.
Morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
All right,
I'm fine. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Antonio.
So how are you doing?
Yeah,
you had a very busy day yesterday, I'm aware, and it's good to see you so sharp this morning. Let's quickly take you to the headlines that we have for the day, beginning from the Vanguard newspaper, where I have this one above the head, and it says, pay Gencos 1.3 trillion naira debt to avoid sector's collapse. Elumelu tells federal government. Details read on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. Edo Guba, that's the kicker. More trouble for Labour Party as two ESCOs emerge. Why are they doing this? Labour Party is bigger than what's happening in the Edo State. The faction, the first time it's that the Labour Party chairman was being beaten, and now we're hearing all of this. I don't think Labour Party in Edo State should do something. The Edo State governor and governorship election, I beg your pardon, is becoming more like a presidential election. I don't know if anyone is thinking what I'm thinking. And of course, we have some riders to that story. The first one said the NWC appoints ex-speaker, ITV head of 17-man caretaker committee. The second rider says our ESCO our ESCO is still intact. All right, that is Europa is the one saying that. Then this one said INEC begins a CVR despite call for cancellation. All right, I take that again. INEC begins a CVR despite call for cancellation. Details read on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. This one says AGF advocates scrapping of state electoral bodies. Okay, details read on page 9. Then page 34 has this one which says a conflicting court orders trail Kano Emirate tussle. The fight in Kano is becoming something else. I think something needs to be done ASAP so that people don't take laws into their hands. I know how it happens in that area. I've been there before. And then the big story said Labour, private sector operators bicker over minimum wage. Details read on page 5. All right, we have some riders to that story, and you can actually pick a copy of the Vanguard newspaper to go through that, both the riders and every other story from here. It's found on the Vanguard newspaper. So if anyone interests you, pick a copy of Vanguard newspaper as we move to the next paper. All right, over to you, Michael.
Oh, thank you so much, Ramsey. Straight to the Nigerian Tribune today. The first story is AGF calls for scrapping of State Electoral Commission. One liner to that story says SIEC's main impediment to development of local governments. You can read that story on page 16 of the Nigerian Tribune. Outgoing Zenith Bank GMD wins best CEO in Africa for 2 consecutive years. You can get that story on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. Also, Oyo enumerate small-scale business owners for COVID-19 recovery fund. On a very good note, you can get that story on page 26. Now, the big story on the Nigerian Tribune: court orders police to evict Bayero from Kano Palace. We have 4 liners to the story. Bars him 4 others from parading themselves as emirs. Security uncovers plot to attack assembly complex, important places. Kano government begs Tinubu to move Bayero out of state because of the unrest.
I think it's very important because the Northerners I don't know. I'm not saying, I'm not generalizing, but there are some unscrupulous elements that want to take laws into their hands. And you know how crazy some people can be in that part of the world when it comes to things like this, especially people who are supporters of a particular person like Bayero now. Yesterday we saw some persons gathering themselves that they were praying so that Bayero will be reinstated as the Emir of Kano State, and now Sanusi is also there. So it's a big problem. I think what the federal government should do at this point in time is to wade into the situation and calm it down.
Awesome. Now, down to the next line of that story. Deputy Governor apologizes to NSA, withdraws allegations of connivance. I take that story again. The last line of that story. Deputy Governor apologizes to NSA, withdraws allegations of connivance. You can get that story on page 3. That's the big story in the Nigerian Tribune. Tribunal affirms Diri Ododo's election. You can see that story on page 15 and 16 of the Nigerian Tribune. Abure
were you shocked? I had to look at Antonia once again because we've talked about that case here severally, and I saw it yesterday and I was like, wow. Well, I told the barrister yesterday during review that the judiciary did so much in bringing people during this 2023 election, and up till now they are still doing it. Ododo is now confirmed the eligible and the original elected governor of Kogi State.
Are we going to say the judicial system has been on their toes since Tinubu took over?
Well, I don't know. If you ask them, they will tell you they are doing their job. The barrister told us yesterday that they work with facts. It's what they bring to court, the facts that they bring to the court that they work with, that they don't manufacture any result and all of that. So that's what they will tell you. But then, I don't know, Nigerians also have their own opinions and their beliefs, which they are entitled to anyway.
Very well. All right, the last story I'll take on the Nigerian Tribune. Bandit annexed 151 villages. Plateau communities cry out. You can get that story on page 27. Bandits are still,
These guys, they are not resting. They are not resting. And it's because nothing has been done. How would they rest? They keep doing it and nothing has been done. Today you hear it, tomorrow you hear it, and nothing has been done. People are abusing. These politicians are abusing, doing different things from handling security. I don't know, but then I think Nigeria needs prayer and action, because faith without work is actually dead.
It's actually dead, yeah. Away from the Nigerian Tribune, I'll move over to you, Antonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Let's take a look at the headlines from the Daily Times newspaper this morning. And the first one we have here, Children's Day. That's the kicker. No effort will be spared in securing Nigeria's future. This is coming from the president, Tinubu. Yesterday was Children's Day. We are the children, they say, are the leaders of tomorrow. But
until when? No, we've been hearing this thing.
We've been hearing it
before,
since when I was
before
little.
we're born.
Yes.
Until we're born, until now. How old is Antonia? How old am I? How old is Michael? Until now. We're not tired. We're not tired. We believe it's going to happen in this country. That's what I believe. Yeah.
All right. Away from that, the big story on the Daily Times newspaper, Nigerian Air remains suspended. This is coming from the federal government. That's on page 2. And we have 2 riders underneath. It says ownership structure of suspended airline not beneficial to Nigeria. Nigeria, Saudi Arabia to revive cargo flight operations. This is coming from Keyamo. And the next headline we have, Bayelsa, Tribunal affirms Governor Doye Diri's re-election. Silva rejects tribunal verdict, heads to appeal court. This is getting interesting. And that story continues on page 2. Moving away from that, federal government seeks review of practice procedure of ECOWAS court to avoid conflicts with national courts. Federal government seeks review of practice, procedure of ECOWAS court to avoid conflicts with national courts. That's on page 2. On page 11, out of school children, federal government engages experts, policy makers to tackle menace. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger exit threat heartbreaking. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger exit threat. Heartbreaking. This is coming from the ECOWAS vice president, and that's on page 13 of the Daily Times newspaper. Over to you, Ramsey.
Thank you very much, Antonia. Let's get done with the nation's newspaper this morning, where we have a few headlines. The headlines are actually much, but I'm going to be taking few because of our time. The big story is smiling. It's just looking at me, so I feel we should visit it on time so we could have enough time. Some headlines from the nation's newspaper this morning: how we fared in 9 months by Kayemo and Carey. How we fared in 9 months, okay, by Kayamo and Carey. Details read on page 3. Emirate crisis, that's the kicker on the nation's newspaper this morning, and the story said Kano Court orders eviction of Bayero from palace. Details read on page 2. Then the big story says a council of the local government matter that we talked about yesterday is still appearing today. The council autonomy battle heightens. Council autonomy battle heightens. Details read on page 2 of the nation's newspaper. And the very big one here, I think the full page has been taken. That is coming from the Federal Capital Territory Administration, where they are welcoming His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFRN to the commissioning of the Southern Parkway from Christian Center to Ring Road 1. And of course, you see a lot of display. Yesterday, I was watching it on television. I was watching the advert, and I was seeing a lot of roads. You know, we talked about that here. And the president is coming to commission it. Probably they are doing it today before tomorrow.
Tomorrow is 28th.
Tomorrow is 29th. So it needs to enter their 1 year in office record. These people. All right, that's going to be the size of the headline. I didn't say anything. I just said these people. Oh my God, this is Nigeria. I love this country. I need to say that. This is going to be the size of the headlines this morning. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll talk about the fight in Kano State and what's going to happen to Bayero and Sanusi, of course. Don't go nowhere.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleke TV. Visit our website at www.oweleke.tv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Well, this is Nigeria, and in Nigeria, you get to see a whole lot happening, and we won't be tired of seeing these things happening. Welcome to another wonderful time again, where we bring to you the big story on Outnumbered, and it's still Ramsey, Antonia, and of course Michael. Let's talk about the court order. All right, court ordering police to evict Bayero from Kano Palace. Now, Kano has 2 emirs. They are saying, if you look at the riders to that story, they say bars him, 4 others from parading themselves as emirs. Security uncover plot to attack assembly complex and important places. That's the reason we said if nothing is being done on time, these people can take laws into their hands. And what Nigerians know how to do, our politicians, some of our politicians know how to do, is damage control. Why not prevent these things from happening? You know what to do. We're talking about the Emirate here. This is different from politics. But then, see, when politics, everything is being politicized, this kind of problem is bound to happen. I don't know what they are looking at. And Kano government begs Tinubu to move Bayero out of state. You see, all this is in a bid to make sure there is no trouble. Because the more he's there, the more
the supporters,
yes, of course, the more they want to do something, because everything they are doing now is to please him. So the more they see him, the more they do that. But taking him out of Kano, would that solve this problem, Antonia?
That's not the solution. That's like that's not the solution, basically. I wanted to use an idiomatic expression, but let's just leave that for later. That's not the solution. We're seeing how far politics has meddled into traditional affairs, like traditional rulership. In times past, traditional rulers used to be revered. They used to be the ones that, yes, they are the ones that hold the culture and religion of a particular place. Even though before our colonial masters came, it was just the traditional rulers we had. And Nigeria, even though we're before the amalgamation and everything, we're still separate. Each region was managing their affairs to the best of their abilities, putting their council, their kingmakers together to see how the society can become better. And with politics, are we saying politics is bad? No. But now, it now meddling into this tradition is what is causing this friction. Because the removal of the emir, one, he's the custodian of the tradition and their religion and everything. His removal is not sitting down well with some other persons. Because if you raise certain allegations and say, oh, this person did this person did this, like Sanusi, for instance, when he was removed, now bringing him back, a lot of people will raise eyebrows. Were they expecting the people of Kano State to just fold their hands and watch? They wouldn't do that. You're a human being. For instance, someone is brought in your stead to, let's say, the position you're occupying, you're a traditional ruler. Those that are in support of you would definitely raise a brow and question why that is happening. So that's why all of this is happening in Kano State. And if care is not taken, it may lead to more unrest if care is not taken.
All right, as it is right now, let's go to what is happening. The people of Kano State right now are supposed to decide, all right, on what to do as it has to do with their emir. Before now, we know, like she said, these people are, they are held at a very high esteem. But right now, it's no longer like that. What do you think is responsible for all this problem in Kano State right now? And do you see moving Bayero out of Kano State as the solution for this problem?
Kano State is one of the states in Nigeria commercially that's very successful commercially. Everyone knows that history. They are held in high esteem because other countries come transact business. So, and I've been there once. I basically entered the airport. I fell in love with the state. It's a very peaceful and religious state, and very, very religious. So you don't dress anyhow and come into Kano State. I believe when Governor Abba Yusuf postulated on Friday about the reappointment of Sanusi too, and deposing Ado Bayero and other four emirs, it wouldn't go well with the state. And basically, when the unrest started, I knew Kano as a state that, aside from the religion, they respect traditional rulers. They see them as role models. They see them as the God that they are seeing, like the God that they see, not trying to idolize anybody, but they see them as the God they see. They go to them for counsel before anything happens in that state. You go through the Emma. I particularly went there for something with the Ministry of Tourism, but we had to go see the MI before we even went to the Ministry of Tourism. That's about 2 years ago. So I had a first-hand experience of MI having superintendent on a state. Very, very is a figurehead. Like before anything happens in that state, they'll tell you have to go see the MI and take a permission. Before we visited the tourism centers, we had to go take permission from the MI, and the palace is very, very large. When you come in, you feel like in heaven. So I feel that the state have some foundational problem that they have to tackle. First of all, that inclusion of politics into traditional rulership is very wrong. Politics is meant to be independent. Traditional rulership is meant to be independent. Though I know it seems the state pays the MI.
I think you do.
That's a correlation. So now, meddling politics and traditional rulership will always bring a problem in any state. Let the traditional rulers have the autonomy. They have influence on what happens in every state. It's everywhere, and it's unequivocal that traditional rulers have a say, especially when it comes to the northern states or the Islamic states. Very, very well. So I believe if government has to intervene, take away the traditional ruler first of all. Let the unrest calm down. Bring him to Abuja. Let him chill. Then talk to his loyalists. Resorting to violence is not, because Kano has been at edge since that position was made on Friday. Since Sanusi was reinstated.
There have been a protest even.
It's been a protest. So, halting a state, bikers, everybody's making noise because of the reinstatement of Sanusi. Remember when Sanusi was initially deposed or dethroned, there was a problem.
So as it is right now, let's just wait and see what will happen from Kano State, how the situation is going to be arrested. Already they are calling on the president to intervene. If the federal government intervenes and anything positive happens, it will be fine.
From what I'm hearing, sir, the new Sanusi has moved to the main palace with heavy security presence, while Bayero was moved to a mini palace, so he's still very, very well secured. It's still heavily guarded. Mini palace, main palace, very close. I think the best thing, proximity will always result to violence. They are very close to each other. So each loyalist of both will be clashing.
They will clashing.
Take him out from the state.
I think it's okay to take him out of the state. Because if he is there, like I said earlier, like he said, the people causing this problem, the problem may not really be the emirs themselves. So as it is, this is going to be the size of Outnumbered for today, and we'll return again, and that's going to be tomorrow. When we return, we'll bring you to speed with so many other things happening. We pray that before tomorrow, peace must have returned to Kano State, because we want peace now. The insecurity that we have all over Nigeria, we don't want more trouble. The hunger is so much, so no more trouble. It is happening in the north, the central, the south, the east, the west is also feeling it, because we are one Nigeria. Thank you very much for keeping it date with us. My name is Ramsey Enoch. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye for now.